What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. And today, second video of the day, again, because I didn't upload my top 25 yesterday. So back to your regularly scheduled programming. Conference championships are this week, and you're going to get my final college football playoff predictions and New Year's Six bowl game predictions that are coming out today. Again, tomorrow, you're going to get my actual predictions for what I think is going to happen in the games. But this is a good indication of what I think is going to happen in those games with the prediction. Again, I'm kind of looking ahead a little bit, but this is also a prediction for like as of right now. This is what I have. And then I might do a final prediction later, as in like super late Saturday night. I might do something like that. Who knows? But this is my last one. Again, it is as of right now who I think is making a New Year's Six bowl game. There have been changes this week. So if you want to help me support the channel, please do leave a like, comment, subscribe, do everything like that. Help support the channel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. We're starting off with the playoff field as usual. And you see things look pretty similar, except for one big change. Of course, Georgia's still the #1 team in the nation. I mean, when you look at the Georgia Bulldogs, this is just a team that has been dominant all year, and they are a cut above the rest, far and away the best team in the nation. They have the best shot at winning this year's national championship as well, according to a lot of odds makers and myself. This team is just the all-around package. Great defense. Their offense has played good complementary football to their defense this year. They haven't turned the football over a whole lot. They come up with some big plays. Stetson Bennett has seemingly been that guy for them at quarterback. Like, everything has gone right for Georgia this year. No question that they will be #1 once it's all said and done, unless they lose to Bama, which again, I do not think happens. #2, we do have a change. Remember, I had Ohio State in here last week. Well, now it is the team that just beat Ohio State in the past week, and that is the Michigan Wolverines. I think they will make their first ever appearance in the college football playoff this year. They're favored against Iowa, and as of right now, of course, I have to put them up here at #2. They just beat #2. Now they are #2, and this Michigan team has got it all, much like Georgia, but to a lesser degree. They have a good pass rush. Their pass defense has been a little shaky at times, but overall, this is a pretty solid defense, of course, led by Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo, two of the best pass rushers in the nation. Hutchinson's going to be a top 10 draft pick. He's fantastic. When you look on the offensive end, even though they did lose Ronnie Bell for the remainder of the season in their first game, the wide receiver group has looked pretty solid, and guys have emerged, most notably Andrew Anthony. You still have guys like Cornelius Johnson there as well, but how about those running backs this year, right? Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum, the best running back duo in the entire nation. It's been fantastic for the Wolverines, and Haskins absolutely shredded the Buckeyes defense. And Michigan absolutely belongs in the #2 spot, and I think they will be once it's all said and done. I still have Cincinnati at 3 and Oklahoma State in 4. Just kind of repeat what I said about them last week. Of course, Cincinnati, hey, a win is a win. As long as you stay undefeated, you have a really good shot at making the playoff. And if they beat Houston, they're more likely than not in the college football playoff. It's a very high likely possibility. Honestly, Cincinnati, a team that I feel like finally is going to get the shot that they have deserved for so long. Cincinnati's been so good over the past couple of years. Of course, last year they went undefeated. COVID held them out of games. They just kept dropping in the rankings. But this year is Cincinnati's time. Cincinnati, I think, is going to compete for a national championship. Desmond Ridder has this team playing really, really well. And this defense, while it's been shaky, they still have a lot of NFL talent on that defense, and it's going to show out in the playoff if and when they get there. And I have Cincinnati 3. Oklahoma State has been at 4, and this is the team all year that kind of no one has really talked about, including myself. So I'm part of this group, but as of the past 3 weeks, maybe to a month, I really started to consider Oklahoma State. Even though I didn't sound like it, I really did start to consider Oklahoma State like a playoff threat. It was a team that wasn't playing its best offensive game, much like the style of the Georgia. It isn't a fantastic offense, but it plays good complementary football to their defense. When you look at Oklahoma State's defense, it's not at the level that Georgia's is at, but it has a lot of good playmakers. we're going to see a lot of good defenses in the college football playoff if this is the field that is going to take shape come this Sunday. And I think what a fantastic field. This is absolutely fantastic. This is great for college football. No matter what the playoff field is this year, it's going to be great for college football. You got Georgia, who's only been in here once. And then you got 3 first-timers. Michigan, who's been close in years priors but hasn't gotten over the Ohio State hump. Now they have a fantastic chance to get in there. You're going to have the first ever Group of 5 team in there, and then a Big 12 team that no one saw coming out of the Big 12. It was Oklahoma, Iowa State, maybe Texas, and that was the Big 12 conversation. Oklahoma State, yeah, they were supposed to be solid, but they weren't supposed to be this good. These 4 teams right now, I think, are the 4 teams that are deserving of a spot in the playoff. You could throw Alabama in there, yes, but they've had a lot of shaky performances this year. And again, probably gives you a good indication of the way that I'm leaning, how I think Saturday's game in Atlanta is going to go for the Crimson Tide, with Alabama not being on screen. But there you go. There are my new playoff predictions. Just the one change is Michigan getting in over Ohio State because, of course, they beat Ohio State. If I had a first 2 out right now, it has to be Alabama and Notre Dame. Along with these 4, those are the 6 teams that have a shot to get into the playoff. Unless chaos happens, then maybe if Baylor, there can be a lot of chaos that can happen. So we'll have to wait for that. But let's go ahead and move on now to my New Year's 6 bowl game predictions. Of course, we're going to start with the Peach Bowl, and there is a change. I do believe that the ACC winner is going to go to the Peach Bowl, and I think that's Pitt. When you look at the Pitt-Wake Forest matchup, of course, I'll talk about this tomorrow as well. It's 2 really good offenses versus 2 pretty okay defenses, but I give Pitt the edge on defense. And I see Pitt right now as the best team in the ACC, and they are going to be in the Peach Bowl, or at least in my mind are in the Peach Bowl right now. And then Michigan State. The reason I didn't have Michigan State in there last week was because I thought they were going to lose to Penn State. Just looking ahead, I didn't see how they were going to win against Penn State, with Penn State being as good as they are, as competitive as they are, and with Michigan State, with the bug going around, with everything like that. I just didn't think of this team would, really do not necessarily not do much in the Penn State game, but I didn't think they would pull that one out. Alas, they get it done in the snow. And I think because of that, while they will not be going to Indianapolis, I do think because they are ranked ahead of BYU right now, that Michigan State will be that team that gets the last spot in the New Year's Six Bowl. And this is your Peach Bowl matchup here. And honestly, I think this could be a pretty good game here. Michigan State and Pitt, 2 offenses that are pretty good and 2 defenses that have just been kind of okay this year, right? But Michigan, the worst pass defense in the nation. They could get shredded by Kenny Pickett if this is the matchup that takes place. But I do feel like this is going to be a very interesting game. Although, while I am sold on Pitt making the Peach Bowl, these 2 teams right here, Notre Dame and Ole Miss, this prediction has not changed over the course of a couple of weeks. It stayed the same. But Notre Dame, of course, moving to 11-1, not likely to make the playoffs, but it still could happen. I just wonder how the playoff committee is going to look at Notre Dame now that Brian Kelly is off at LSU. He's not going to coach Notre Dame anymore. He is in Louisiana. He had a press conference. I just watched it a few minutes ago, probably 30 minutes ago, his first press conference at LSU. How is the committee going to look at Notre Dame now that they don't have their all-time wins leader in Brian Kelly? That's something to think about as well on whether or not Notre Dame gets into the playoff. But of course, their only losses is Cincinnati. Bona fide, bottom line, they get into a New Year's Six Bowl game. I think that's going to be the Fiesta Bowl against Ole Miss, as they'll be the 2 highest rated at-large teams. And I see the committee pairing them next to each other. This could be an interesting game. The Ole Miss, of course, their first 10-win season in program history with the win in the Egg Bowl over Mississippi State. This game could get exciting, and I think it's going to get a lot of headlines. You got Lane Kiffin, who's done a fantastic job. And then for Notre Dame, they're going to have a new head coach wherever they go, whether that be the playoff, whether that be the New Year's Six Bowl game. I happen to be the Fiesta Bowl. but I also could see Notre Dame or Ole Miss playing Pitt in the Peach Bowl and then having Michigan State come down to play either one of these two schools in the Fiesta Bowl. But I'm sold on Pitt making the Peach Bowl. That is what I'm sold on, and I'm not changing that. These two I feel like can swap, but as of right now, this is the matchup that I am going with. Let's move on now to the Rose Bowl. And college football fans, the college football playoff is going to be very interesting to watch. But on days where the college football playoff is not going on, we're still going to get some pretty interesting games. Here is your Rose Bowl matchup, a rematch of Week 2, a rematch of the 2014 National Championship game. Oregon, I think that they're going to win the Pac-10. I believe they are the favorite right now. Again, I have not looked at the lines that closely, but I believe Oregon is the favorite right now. And if they win the Pac-12, they're going to go back to the Rose Bowl, and I think they're going to match up with Ohio State. Now, it's not a guarantee that Ohio State is in Pasadena, because what if Michigan loses? Well, they can find themselves in Pasadena, and then Ohio State would have to vie for another New Year's Six spot. Maybe even the committee feels that Iowa should go into the Rose Bowl if Iowa were to win that game at Michigan. Who knows? But I think the most likely scenario right now is that you see Ohio State and Pasadena competing for a Rose Bowl. Of course, 10-2. I know to a lot of fans, these two teams were letdowns. You know, they didn't make the college football playoff. They were two teams coming into the year that, well, we're supposed to compete for a spot. Now they're not. Now one of them is not even playing in their conference championship game. But these two schools had a pretty tough road. Ohio State, of course, playing the Big Ten. They had to play Oregon, then Michigan with how good they've been this year, especially as young as this Ohio State team is. Then when you look at Oregon, they have a lot of talent on this team, but they've been beat up all year. Thibodeau, Flo, and Sewell have all had their fair share of games missed. And then CJ Verdell, of course, missing the rest of the season, only about a month in. His season was cut short. So this game here going to be a rematch, and I think it's going to be a very fun one if this is the matchup we get. It's the matchup that I'm predicting right now. This is your Rose Bowl. Should be a whole lot of fun. CJ Sharp is actually just named Big Ten Freshman of the Year. So you're going to see him in one more game as well. Will it be the Rose Bowl? I'm thinking so, but it could be something else. And then the final game that I'm predicting right now is the Sugar Bowl, and this prediction is holding strong as well because I have Alabama losing to Georgia. SC championship game. You guys know how this works. 11-1, 7-1 in conference. The Alabama Crimson Tide will find themselves in the Sugar Bowl. Still a New Year's Six bowl spot, and with how good Georgia has been, Alabama will absolutely take it. They've had their struggles this year, right? They definitely have had their struggles. Close game against Florida. They're not proving to be too great. Close game against Arkansas. They're 8-4. Not a bad team, but still a close call. A very close call to Auburn, and then of course that loss to Texas A&M, who is in the bottom 5 of the top 25 in pretty much every ranking, including my own, that's out there. And then you have Baylor. Baylor has just overachieved this year. They find themselves in the Big 12 championship game, and I just don't see how the committee can favor Oklahoma over Baylor to go into the Sugar Bowl. And I think no matter what happens, Baylor's in the Sugar Bowl, whether they win or lose the Big 12 championship game. Again, as of right now, Baylor's chances, again, as of right now, Oklahoma State is the favorite. Again, things can change, but it probably won't change that much. So as of right now, Oklahoma State is the favorite, but if Baylor were to win or lose that game, I still think they find themselves in the Sugar Bowl as the second best team and the second highest ranked team in the Big 12, unless they happen to be Oklahoma State. But again, with those two losses, probably don't get into the college football playoff. So Baylor, Alabama, I think that is going to be your matchup in the All-State Sugar Bowl. This should be a fun one as well, as should all the New Year's Six bowl games. And honestly, this would be the year for an expanded playoff, right? Because I really do feel like the 12 teams that are in a New Year's Six bowl spot really are the 12 teams that have a shot to win, right? That really have a shot to go out and win it all. Maybe you throw BYU in there as well, but this is why an expanded playoff is needed for years like this. But also for years like this, college football playoff field looks something like this. These four teams up here, along with a combination of Alabama and Notre Dame, that's going to be your playoff field unless chaos erupts. And I'll cover scenarios on Friday. We'll look through easy scenarios. What are the easiest decisions made for the playoff committee? And chaos scenarios as well, along with my predictions on what the Final Four rankings would be if that were to happen. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, do anything you can, help support the channel. Let me know how excited you are for Conference Championship Week. It should be a lot of fun. And I will see you guys tomorrow when I preview and predict all 10 Conference Championship games. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.